Welcome to this another video where we will do a mock exam on main Rebaway's EU website. I will put the link to this website in the description so you can also use this website to practice your exam. So today we will do these 50 questions and we will see if we are going to pass the exam or not. So I will be using the Brussels area, for example, but it's all the same. It doesn't matter if you're doing the exam for Brussels, Flanders, or Wallonia. All right, so let's get started. So here's our website. And once you go here, you can go to Proof Examine and Rebaway's B. Once you click here, you will be given an option. Let's click here. And then we will see what options we get. So we get three different options: Vlaams, Wals, and Brussels. So as a general thing, I will go to Brussels, and you can either start the exam without, just start the test, or just start the test without any time limits. So I'm going to start this without any time limit so that we can get some extra time to do the explanation. So as you see here, we start with 50 questions. We start the first question, so we will be shown 50 questions. So as we move through the test, I will cover one by one all the questions, and then I will also explain the options and also explain why certain option is correct and why the other options are wrong. And at the end of the exam, we will be able to see, hopefully we will pass the exam, but at the end, we will be able to see all the wrong answers and then appropriate explanations for that. All right, so let's get started with the first question. So the question here is, it says you are riding within a built-up area. Above the com is built-up area. How fast are you allowed to ride in this street? Just put the number. So this is a residential area. In a residential area, you are allowed to ride a maximum of 20 kilometers per hour. So let's go with that. Second question. What is the stop distance if you are driving at 90 kilometers per hour? So the stop distance, it's a calculation, and I hope that I'm doing it correctly, but I have covered this in my driving theory book about the stop distance. Let me quickly open the driving theory book and show you what the stop distance should be. So if you open, or if you have purchased our driving theory book, you can also purchase the e-line portion, the e-book, or the physical book. I'll put the link again in the description if you want to purchase this book. So here, if I search for braking and stopping distance, and then I will be able to, I have explained the concepts braking and stopping distance here pretty well, and what is the reaction time, braking time. But the idea is just to go to the next page and here. So here I put a table where you can see if you are driving at the speed of 50, 70, 90, what will be your stopping distance? It should be 70 meters. So let's go with this answer. So the options are 45, 65, and 85. So as 65 is close to 70, I will check this, 65 meters. And then we will continue with that. I have also explained in the book how you can calculate the stopping distance and why it is more accurate to take 65 rather than 85. All right, so let's continue. So this is a very interesting question where you see a board, and it's important here that you understand, is it steep descent or steep ascent? So steep descent is downhill, and steep ascent is uphill. Is it downhill or uphill? How would you know that? There is a trick to read the traffic signs or traffic boards. So basically what you must do, what you must remember, is you will always read the boards from left to right or from bottom to up. Left to right, like how we write English language, for example, or Dutch language, and then bottom to up. All right. So now reading left to right, it is a steep descent or it's a downhill. So it says, what can you do if you are parking your vehicle in on a downhill, right? Darling is downhill. All right, so basically, I have also explained this in my book. When you park a vehicle downhill, you must turn your wheels towards the curb. There is a curb on the edge of the road, so your car stays stable. It to prevent your car from rolling down the hill. The wielen draaien naar de boorsteen, towards the curb. Okay, if you are parking uphill, you have to turn your wheels away from the curb. Oh, all right, so let's go with this option. All right, question 4. Now, a trick to use in your exam is, even if you don't understand the language, just look at the photo and try to imagine or try to get some kind of basics out of it. What could be the question? And once you have done that, you have already understood the question 50%. The rest 50% would be what is written in the text and looking at the options. The other tip I want to give you is, when you are reading the options, you have to rule out certain options, and then you will know, okay, if there are 4 options, if you have already ruled out 2 options, then there are 2 options left for you to decide. So this is one of the questions where you can look at the photo or the image and try to analyze what the situation is. So in this case, the situation is like this. The cars are driving in this tunnel, and the maximum speed allowed in this tunnel is 90 kilometers per hour, and there are multiple lanes. So let's now try to understand the question. It says you are in the tunnel with a broken car. Where would you place the warning triangle? So where would you place the warning triangle? Of minstens 30 meter, at least 30 meters before the vehicle. If it is outside built-up area, at least 50 meters before the vehicle if it is within the built-up area. So outside the built-up area, it is at least 30 meters, and that's the accurate answer. So again, I have explained this in my book. You can refer to my book, and then let me quickly show you where you can get the book. So if I go to amazon.nl, and then if I search for driving theory Belgium, and then the first book that you will see is the book I'm sharing here. So you can already see that it's already being offered at an advised price of 31 euros when the actual price is 43 euros. Because if you go to amazon.de, you will end up paying 43 euros. So that's why use amazon.nl and you will get a very good discount there. All right. So it's a time-based discount. So make use of it. And then let's continue with our 5th question. Which driver's license do you need to drive 8 people in this minibus? So to drive 8 people with a driver's license B, you can do that. All right. So let's go to the next question. So the question here is, there is a traffic jam. File is a traffic jam, or it's file rather. It's a traffic jam. Are you allowed to make use of the lane on the right to take the next exit? So you are here, and The lane to your right is here. Are you allowed to use this lane to take the next exit? So as you can see, the traffic board, there is an exit. Definitely not. Even though there is a traffic jam, you must stay here because it's still a continuous white line. It's not a broken white line. And when there is a continuous white line, you are never allowed to cross that. There are certainly exceptions, but not in this case. So it is prohibited. The rest of the options don't matter. So that's why I say try to analyze the photo, and then you don't even have to read the other options. If you have understand the question, then you already know the answer. Okay, let's go to question 7. So the question 7 is, from what alcohol level are bicycle riders punishable? So it doesn't matter if it's a bicycle rider or any other rider because he's still a driver. So the correct answer is from 0.22 milligram per liter of alcohol in your blood. All right, so we go with this option. Now here's our question 8, and there is a video. So before we go to this question, before we watch the video, let's try to understand what the question is. So the question says, should the gray vehicle give priority to the yellow vehicle or the yellow van when the gray vehicle leaves the roundabout? Should the gray vehicle have given priority to the yellow van when it leaves roundabout? Let's look at the question. Even before looking at the video, I would say no, because the gray vehicle is on the right lane, and when the gray vehicle exits the roundabout, it is already on the outside lane of the roundabout. So all the vehicles on the outside lane of the roundabout will have priority. The vehicles on the inside lane, they must give priority to the vehicles on the outside. So we will continue. We'll watch this video, and it's entered the roundabout. See, exactly. So he's trying to, the yellow van is trying to rush in, and it's a situation. Okay, try to, now it's a very, should this car have given priority? As per rules, no, but you see he's trying to drive over, he's trying to push in the gray car. Let's see what the options are, answers. Yes and no. Priority, should have given priority to the yellow car. I would say not give priority, but he tries to push in, so it's a very tricky question. I mean, if we consider the safety here, I think he should have given priority, but as per the rules, yeah, he doesn't have to give the priority. I would still go and select yeah, because you must always adapt your speed to the driving situations. Okay, so let's go with yes. And then at the end, we will of course see if it's a wrong answer. So the next question, question 9. These road markings or arrows, what do they indicate? So even before reading the options here, we know that these are indicating lane closure. All the vehicles are suggested or instructed to change the lane, empty the lane or move out of the lane here, right? So it says mandatory to turn left. No, it's an announcement for a lane reduction. That's what it is. The other option, invoegde verkeer op deze reisdrog. Invoegen verkeer. No, invoegen verkeer is additional traffic. It doesn't have to do anything with that. It's lane reduction. Okay, so let's go with that. Now, this traffic sign, what does it indicate? So basically, if you have, again, the same situation, even before rating the question, you know that this indicates a level crossing without gates. So it's a level crossing. The other options, it says it's a train stop, uh, tourist train. No, these are it's a level crossing, but here they have made it easy. They don't say if it is with it's a level crossing with a gate or without a gate, but they have kept it simple. It's a level crossing, so that's the right answer. Question 11. What does this mean? Traffic sign mean? So again, it means. So the first option is, it means here that the bicycles should mandatorily turn right. No, that's not what it means. When you turn right, you should give priority to the bicycles. No, it also doesn't mean that. The third option is the correct option. When there is red light or orange light, the bicycles are allowed to turn right without having to wait for the green light. That's what it indicates. So let's select option C, and then we will continue with the exam. Now, this is most likely a priority question, just looking at the photo. And it's saying here, in what order are these vehicles allowed to cross the junction? So tram always has a priority, and then a vehicle that is turning left must give priority. So the gray car here must give priority. So it is tram and the white car and then the gray car. All right. Question 13. How much load is allowed to be loaded behind the vehicle? How much load is allowed to extend behind the vehicle without any traffic sign or traffic marking or a signage? It's 1 meter. All right. So 1 meter, up to 1 meter, you are allowed to put, the load is allowed to extend behind the vehicle without any signage. From 1 meter to 3 meters, you have to put a signage, and that's also covered in my book. Question 14. What is Dodahook? Dodahook is a blind spot in a vehicle. So it is a point, it is that part of the road where you really, where the other vehicles or the road users are not visible. Option A is that part where the driver is not allowed to look. No, this is okay. Let's go to option C. Is that part that only visible is in the mirrors? So could be likely this answer. Is that part that is, no, it's not that part that's only visible in the mirrors. Sorry. So this part is, it's that part that is not visible. Is that part next to and behind the vehicle that is not visible in the mirrors? That's what blind spots. All right. So let's go to next question. So the question here is, this traffic sign, it's a dead end. So there are multiple options here. Doodlopendweg. That's what the correct answer is. It's not a one-way road. It's not a prohibition direction. So prohibition, it's not even a prohibition board. A prohibition board will be round. Okay. All right. So let's continue. Now again, a question on priority, and it says, who's the first one who's allowed to ride? So as you can see, blue and red are not allowed because they have sharp teeth here. They must give priority. The green one is also not allowed to go first because it's making a left turn, and then it must give priority. So the correct answer would be white. The white is the vehicle that's allowed to cross the junction first. Let's go to the next question, question 17. The gray vehicle before you, in front of you, wants to turn right. So the gray vehicle wants to turn right. So there are two options. Remember, this is a bus lane and on the right, and then Let's see. The options are: he is allowed to pre-swerve on the bus lane. He must keep his vehicle on this lane. Now, basically, when there is a broken line, the car is allowed to pre-swerve on the bus lane. So let's go with that. Let's go with that. He's allowed to pre-swerve on the bus lane. If it was a continuous line, then the car or the vehicle or the gray car should have stayed in this lane. All right, so let's go with that. The question here is about parking. In this zone, you are allowed to park. So basically, in a residential area, you're only allowed to park where? At places that are specifically marked for parking. Okay, so the question is, in this zone, where are you allowed to park? Only on the right side of the road, the left side, and the right side of the road. Option C, only on the places that are where it is indicated that you are allowed to park. So this is the correct answer. So let's go with that. When there is a closed level crossing, the gates have closed at a level crossing. So usually when the gates are closed at a level crossing, you must switch off your vehicle. All right. Motor stilleggen. Stilleggen is switch off. The first option is mag je de motor stilleggen. The second option is moet je de motor stilleggen. So the correct option is you must switch off your vehicle. And the first option, no, you may. It's not may. You must switch off your vehicle. All right. So let's go with that. So the question is, you want to go towards Antwerp. Are you allowed? Mag je nog van rijstrook veranderen? Are you allowed here to change your lane? Yes. Why? Because you can clearly see that these two lanes on the left are going left, and see the differentiation, the road markings, or the road markings that are separating the two lanes on the right and the two lanes on the left. All right. So the two lanes on the right are reserved towards Antwerp, and you are allowed to change the lane here. Okay. At a speed of 30 kilometers per hour, what is the stopping distance? So I think if you refer to the book, you will see that at 50 kilometers, it's still 30 meters. So for 30 kilometers, it should be less. It will be around 14 meters will be the stopping distance. The question is, looking at the board, you have priority at this junction. So the vehicles coming from right must give priority to the vehicles that are already on the road. So basically the question is, the traffic that is coming from the right has priority. No, it doesn't have priority. All right. Let's go to the next question. The question is very simple. A person who's riding horses is a driver. Okay, is a driver, so he must ride on the road. Second option is a pedestrian. No, he's not a pedestrian. If he is a pedestrian, then he is allowed to ride on the footpath or the sidewalk. But that's not the case. He must drive on the road. The next question, question 24. You want to turn right. Are you allowed to change the lane here? No, because towards you is the continuous white line, and when there are two lines, see in this case there's a broken line and a continuous white line, so you must always follow the line that is closest to you. In this case, because you're in the left lane, the closest lane to you, the closest road marking is the continuous white line, so you will follow the rules related to continuous white line. The car here on the right, the closest lane for this car is the broken white line. So this car will follow the rules related to broken white line, which means that this car is allowed to come left here, change the lane to move left here. All right, but you are not allowed to move to the right. So it says the wearing of seat belt is not mandatory for which people? A taxi driver who is driving a client. I think this is for a taxi driver. This could be a case. As zwanger, pregnant women, no, they also must wear a seat belt. And someone who has had an operation, I don't think so, because even in that case, they will need a doctor's letter. But the taxi driver who's driving a client is an exception. All right, there are other exceptions as well, but this is one of the exceptions. So the question here is, what will be the stop distance when you are riding at 60 kilometers per hour? It's more likely going to be 52 kilometers. If I refer to the situation or the book, there is a formula, of course. So let's go back to the book and see. So as you can see, between 70 kilometers and 90 kilometers, the stop distance is 45 and 70. So the question is between 50 and 70, which is 60. So it could be, is it 30 or between 30 and 45? So the correct answer could be anything between 30 and 45. So if I look at this question, 30 is more close to 50 kilometers. And if it is 60, then I will go with 38 meters. So let's go with that. You're riding outside built-up area. How fast are you allowed in this street? Hoe snel mag jy in deze straat maximaal rijden? So the question is, how fast are you allowed in this street here or right now? That's a little confusing. In outside a built-up area in this street before you, because it's a motorway, so I would fill in 120 kilometers per hour and hope that is correct. Because in this street, of course, it's a motorway, and then your speed should be maximal, it says, and so maximum 120 kilometers per hour. Question 28. So it's more likely a question related to priority. The blue vehicle is exiting its driveway, and should the yellow car, something related to the priority. Let's read the question. Are you allowed, must you give priority to the blue vehicle that is leaving its driveway? No, it's exiting, so it's a maneuver. Blue car is doing a maneuver, and when a car is doing a maneuver, it doesn't have priority. All right, so let's go to question 9. You want to turn left. How must you do the crossing here? So there is a car here opposite to you that's also probably wanting to turn left, and you also want to turn left. So looking at the situation, there are no road markings indicating that you can directly turn left here. So you must first, okay, there is left crossing, there is a right crossing. I have explained this clearly in my book. So how are they allowed to cross? They have to do a right crossing. All right. If there is a road marking, then they could do a left crossing. By default, if there's no road marking, or if there's specific road marking indicates that you want to do a right crossing, you must do a right crossing. Just refer to my book. I have explained this pretty well. Well, what is left crossing, what is right crossing. So when it usually applies when two vehicles from the opposite direction and both vehicles want to turn to their left. All right, so let's continue. So the question is, this orange yellow traffic sign means what? It just means that this is the begin of city limits. It doesn't mean Babodakam is built up area. It doesn't mean that. It's, there's a city and the city limits are starting here, or the commune limits are starting here. For commune limits, for us, are starting here. It doesn't apply anything more. All right. So it's not a parking zone either. Okay. The question is, you are allowed at this cross point to turn right. Okay, you can drive to this cross point to turn right. Should you give priority to the bicycles, okay, who are crossing? Would you overtaken, but the bicycles that are crossing, should you give priority to them? In this case, I don't think so, because if you pay more attention, the bicycles have this red light here, red traffic light, which means the bicycles will be waiting, so they will not be crossing. All right. In any case, if there is no traffic red light for the bicycles, then it's possible that you must give priority to the bicycles. Okay. All right. Here it's no, but we will find out if this is a wrong answer later. So next question. The question is, are you up on this road with two directional traffic? Are you on this road with two directional traffic? Keep riding on the middle lane. No, middle lane is never meant to be. You must always drive on the right lane. All right. The other lanes are meant for overtaking. So the options are yes, always. Yes, if you want to overtake. That's a condition. All right. You are allowed to use the middle lane to overtake. Okay. No is no. I would not go with that, because overtaking is a condition where you are allowed to use the middle lane or other lanes. All right. When you switch off the AC air conditioning, that's the question. All right. So what goes down? What goes down? The consumption of the fuel goes down. All right. The other options are it increases, it remains the same. No, it goes down. So let's continue with that. You're riding in the white or a white car. So look at the policeman. This is a 5-mark question. You answer this wrong, you will lose 5 marks. It's important to understand what the policeman or the authorized person in this case is indicating. So I have explained that in my book. When the arms are horizontal, it prohibits vehicles coming from the front and back, but the vehicles coming from the side are allowed to continue. And this is again hierarchy of priority. It's important to understand that when there is an authorized person, you ignore the traffic rules, traffic lights, traffic signs, everything will be ignored. You just follow the instructions of the authorized person. So here you must ignore the red traffic light. You must continue driving. So question is, you are driving in the white car. The two options are, option B is you must stop. No, you must not stop. You must not stop, because the policeman is indicating that you must continue driving. So you just continue driving, crossing the traffic lights. Okay. Okay, question 35. There is a severe accident that has happened and the fire engine is at the place. So maybe they are there to remove the people who are involved in the accident, or whatever reason, or maybe there's a fire, whatever. So what must you do? All right. So there are multiple options. Option A, you slow down and you will look how you can help. No, the brandwehr or the fire department is there. I think they are going to take care of it. So the option B is you will just continue driving. And option C is you will stop and you will offer your help. No, you just continue driving. It will be taken care by the fire department or the police department if they are there. All right. Okay. So question 36, it says your reaction time is 1 second. How much distance will you, what will be the stopping distance when you are riding at 70 kilometers per hour? So when you're riding at 70 kilometers per hour, it cannot be 8, 19, it's too low. It should be 42 meters. All right. So let's go with that. So this vehicle before you is driving slow. Are you allowed to overtake this vehicle? No, because you see the vehicle is already at a point where there is a continuous white line. And when the continuous white line is closer to you, you're not allowed to cross it. The option, correct answer is no. But let's look at the other options also. Oh, by the way, there is a no overtaking traffic sign. So this is again a question of with 5 marks. And if you answer it wrong, you will lose 5 marks. All right. So there is no need to read any other options. There is a prohibition to overtake the vehicles here. All right. The car will want to overtake the bicycle within a built-up area. So what should be the side distance or the lateral distance? What should be the minimum lateral distance he must live within built-up area? It's 1 meter. Outside built-up area, it's 1.5 meter. Let's go with that. Question 39. What is the safe follow distance when you are riding on a motorway at 120 kilometers per hour? So if you go with the 2-second rule, when the safe distance is to have at least 2-second distance between you and the vehicle in front of you. So if you go with that, if you are riding at 120 kilometers per hour, you will be riding approximately 30 meters per second and then 60 meters for every 2 seconds. So the safe distance should be 70 meters, which is more than 60 meters. If you are maintaining a safety distance of 40 or 20, it is very small. You are very close to the vehicle in front of you. And if the vehicle applies brake at 120 kilometers per hour, there could be an accident. So it's always safe to stay at least 60 meters, and 70 meters is a safe follow distance. All right. So question 40, what does the board indicate? As we have already discussed, always read the board from left to right or bottom up. In this case, we will read the board from bottom up. So the options are, you don't even have to read the options. When you look at the board from bottom up, it is double bend. And this is, if it's a single bend, then you would see a different board, but this is a double bend. So it's double walk. That's what it is. Double bend. Prohibition to overtake, no, that it's not a prohibition board. Danger, slippery road, it's not even slippery. So let's go with the option A. Okay, to cross the vehicle that is coming from the opposite direction, you must stop. Here is option A. You are allowed to make use of the level verge. Option C, you must ride reverse. So in this case, you are allowed to make use of the level verge, all right, to cross the vehicle because the road is narrow. All right, there are conditions when you can do that. If it's a sidewalk, you must definitely not do that. But in this case, it doesn't look like a sidewalk. You can make use of the level verge to cross the vehicle. Question 42. This is a question related to visibility. Looking at the photo itself, it tells me that this is something related to visibility. It says due to mist, the visibility becomes less than 50 meters. What should you do? Of course, you must slow down. You slow down you don't slow down just like that, putting brakes and slowing down suddenly. That will result in an accident. Option C is that's what it is. You slow down as soon as possible, as fast as possible. No, you will slow down in a step-by-step manner, right? So the condition, general condition is always adapt your speed to the road conditions. Let's move to the next question. This photo is taken from the vehicle that you are riding. Are you allowed here to sort to the left lane? Yes, of course, because if you want to turn left, you must sort to the left lane, and you are allowed to do that because it's still the road markings are still broken white lines. Okay, if it was a continuous white line, our selection should have been no, but in this case, it's yes. The next question, again related to an authorized person. You can see the police here. So be careful with questions like this. You might end up losing 5 marks if you answer them wrong. During an alcohol control, you are requested to do a breath test. How much time are you allowed to, how much wait time are you allowed by the policy, or how much wait time can you request from the policy? I think the rules have changed, and I think it must be immediately, but we will come to know at the end of the exam if this is a correct or wrong answer. So let's continue with that. Here, the question is, are you allowed, or should you, or may you, after overtaking the white car, are you allowed to continue riding on this lane after overtaking the white car? Yes, because it's clearly a traffic jam, and in a traffic jam, you're allowed to ride in the lane that you are currently driving. All right. So question 46, it's talking about Driho, which means the triangle. So what does this traffic sign means? It simply means road work. So I will go with this. The other options are pay attention, which are warning again. The road is deformed due to works. And option B is, overtaken work laden, crossing, or people who are working on the road are crossing. People who are workers are crossing the road. No, it's more likely pay attention or warning. There are road works happening. It could also be that the road is deformed. The road is deformed due to road works. Let's go with this. There are road works, and road could be deformed due to roadworks. But we will come to know at the end if our selection is correct. When there is a lot of traffic, all right, and when you are entering the motorway, when there is traffic and when you are entering the motorway, you must follow zipping. Is zipping does not apply here? It's more, zipping does not apply here. Then when there is still traffic on the road, you should still give priority to the traffic that's already on the motorway. All right, there is no zipping that comes into picture. I've explained zipping also in my theory book, so you can refer to that. All right. Are you allowed with tires that have been rethreaded? Okay, are you allowed to drive with tires that have been rethreaded? I don't think that you're allowed to do that. The answer is no. The other option is yes. Option B is yes, but only driving if you're reversing the car. This is a very, yeah, it doesn't apply here. Then the third option is yes, but only one time. No, I don't think it's allowed. You must change the tires. Are you allowed to overtake a bicycle in a bicycle street? No, no, no. That's even a big offense. You're not allowed to overtake bicycle in a bicycle street. The other options is yes, and option B is yes if you maintain that 1 meter of lateral distance. No, no way. All right, let's go to the last question. Are the traffic rules also apply on mud road? I think so. It's yes, because it's still part of the public road, so it applies. So now we have completed the exam. We have done all the 50 questions, and let's hope we have passed the exam. And if we have, I hope we passed the exam. And if we have done any questions wrong, then we will also analyze those questions and see what our assumptions were and why we did those wrong questions. All right. Okay, so last question, I will submit my response. And okay, we have passed the exam. The smiling face indicates we have passed the exam. And how much have we scored? Where do I see the score? Here, it's very light. 45 out of 50 questions. So we still answered 5 questions wrong. And let's see what those questions are. So if there's an option here. If you click that, look at the mistakes. And here, okay, this was, like I said, it was a very tricky question. As per the rules, the gray car should go first and this van must wait. Okay, so the question was, should it have given priority? Like we said, the rules say no, and that's the correct answer, but we selected yes because depending on the situation. All right. The next is 31 meters. Okay, so here is an explanation. 31 meters, the question, let's look at the question. The stop distance at 60 kilometers per hour. At 60 kilometers, 60, 50, 60, 70 is between 25 and 45. So, okay, it's again a tricky thing. I would still go with 38 meters, but okay, because 31 is close to 25. Yes, maybe if we do an average here, that could be the reason for 31 kilometers. So let's go to the next mistake. All right, the correct answer is yes in this case, because the question is the bicycles that are crossing the road. Of course, it should be yes, because what happens is when you are making a right turn or left turn, this red traffic light, like I explained during the exam, it's for the bicycles that want to go straight. All right. But for the bicycles that are on this part of the road and they're trying to cross here, there could be pedestrians. And if you pay a very close attention, there is a green traffic light for I think it's more for the pedestrians and could be also for the bicycles. So you must give priority. All right. Again, we made a mistake. They have done a calculation here. So you can go through the calculation at 70 kilometers per hour. 3.6, that's 19.44 meters per second. Okay, so questions like this, they are very rare, very technical. You need a calculator. So I would just skip something like this. So again, this was a question which is related to road works. Yes, it's more road works. All right, it's not the road is. It's a warning sign and it is related to road works. All right, so we have completed all the 50 questions. I hope you have enjoyed the exam, and if yes, please share your comments. And if you have any other comments, if you have any doubts, let me know in the comments. I will try to explain those in my next videos. Till next time, have fun. Thank you.